This video demonstrates how to map a column to an index for use in our TaskBot. The data table variable tPopcorn identifies columns by their index number. To make it easier to visualize the mapping of columns that we would identify in our data table variable to the index that we use in A2019, I opened back up the raw data text file. Recall, if we were to open this data set in an Excel or CSV file, the commas would be used to separate the values into different columns. While we can't open the large data set in an Excel file because the amount of rows in our data set exceed the number of rows that can be written into an Excel spreadsheet, I can and did open the small data set in Excel. I went ahead and added a header row to this data set to make it easier to visualize the mapping of columns to indexes. I'm going to go ahead and quickly bold that header row, and then I'm going to insert a new row above that so that I can type in the index numbers. As we can see, our data was separated into the various columns using the commas. Here, our record ID is in column A. When we're referring to column A in Automation Anywhere's A2019, we would start with index 0. Then our order number would be in column B, or index 1. And our date time would be in column C, and it would be index 2. And we could keep going along this line to identify all of the indexes for each of our columns of data. The data table also would refer to rows via indexes. So if we were to call out a data table variable instead of a row variable, we also should be mindful that our data starts, before I added the index to this, our data starts on row 1, and again we use the 0 position as the starting point. So row 1 would correspond to index 0, row 2 would correspond to index 1, row 3 would correspond to index 2, and so on and so forth. We don't need to do this because we've already started a loop that tells the data to be assigned to a row by our row variable.